Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Esoteric Lighthouse. We're a group of free and accepted. Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Sorry for the technical difficulties
Happy New
we were having
Year.
for a second. Somebody didn't want us to get started. Uh, well, we'll go ahead and get started since we're here. Welcome to Esoteric Lighthouse. This is an independent broadcast. The views and opinions in this video are solely of that of the individual panelists. We represent no organization other than that of truth and the exploration of wisdom. Some topics may be sensitive in nature and may seem offensive to some. However, this is not our intent. We strive to bring the best information we have available at the time, and sometimes this information goes against what is commonly interpreted. Fact check and do your own research. All right, again, welcome to Esoteric Lighthouse. And I want to say Happy New Year's Eve to the real New Year's. Some people don't realize what is going on tomorrow. Everybody thinks tomorrow is April Fool's, but tomorrow is not actually April Fool's. If you understand the 13th calendar, tomorrow is the actual New Year, starting off the actual New Year's Eve, the actual New Year. So today is New Year's Eve. So I'm just saying, Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. All right. Okay. Tonight, we're going to go over the legacy of the serpent. All right. Here's my agenda. I'll be going over the preservation of culture, Egyptian myths, the Uraeus, the Uepistus, part two, the serpent, willpower, and duality of knowledge, the Nagashakti and the Anguipid, Quetzalcoatl, the Levites, and the Leviathan. All right. Preservation of a culture. The serpent is a creature of duality. It transcends its physical form to become a powerful symbol in various creation myths around the globe. In China, the serpent-like figures such as Fu Sui and Nuwa are credited with creating humanity, while the Sumerians attributed the creation of workers to the Sumerian serpent deities Enki and Nin Kersag. This association with creation suggests the potential of origin story for serpent worshippers, perhaps descendants of these powerful primordial beings. So basically, the serpent worshippers, they follow these primordial beings, that Anunnaki, all these sky beings, these people that came from the past in space or whatever you want to call them. The Anunnaki were the same people as the serpent beings or the serpent cults or the people that the serpent cults worshipped. The veneration of the serpent extended beyond creation. Ningzida, the son of Sumerian serpent god Enki, is believed to have found an Egyptian counterpart in Thoth, the god of knowledge and magic. Thoth is credited with establishing a school promoting learning and establishment that embodied the potential influence of the serpent ideology on knowledge and power structures. This influence likely extended to later philosophical movements, weaving its way into intellectual fabrics of various civilizations, i.e., Thoth was also credited for leading the Olmecs into Mesoamerica and to other things in that nature. Um, as humanity spread, the serpent's influence followed. To maintain power, their perceived power, serpent worshippers, potentially remnants of the Anunnaki, sent their emissaries, known as the Shiny Ones, to pretty much every civilization across the world. Those Shiny Ones are the same people we call the Olmecs. These emissaries offered valuable knowledge of agriculture, healing, and astronomy, fostering belief systems centered around the serpent. The enduring legacy of the serpent is evident in the worship of the serpent deities across continents, from Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerica to the benevolent feathered serpent god to the Naga king of India and the Wajet of Egypt. The serpent's symbolic power is as a protector, healer, and even a ruler endures throughout history. Egyptian myths and the enigmatic serpent. In ancient Egyptian religion, the serpent embodied a fascinating paradox. Feared for its deadly venom, yet admired for its raw power and swift movement, the serpent became a potent symbol of duality and permeated their understanding of the cosmos. This duality manifested in various deities and iconography. The benevolent serpent figures like the Meretseger, protector of the Valley of the Kings, and the Mehen, who safeguarded the sun god Ra during his nightly journey through the underworld, highlighted the serpent's association with protection and divine power. The image of the rearing cobra, the uraeus, adorning the head of the pharaoh's crown further emphasizes this association, linking the serpent to royalty and divine favor. However, this reverence was not absolute. Apepe, the monstrous serpent of chaos, represented the constant threat of destruction and oblivion. Even in death, the Egyptians remained weary of serpents' powers. Images of serpents in tombs were often depicted with severed heads and as a symbolic act of neutralizing the act of potential threats in the afterlife. The uraeus. The uraeus is a rearing cobra adorned on the pharaoh's crown. It epitomizes the fascinating duality of the serpent in Egyptian mythology. It represented the Wajet, an ancient cobra goddess associated with Lower Egypt and its protective power. Notability, the uraeus wasn't exclusive to the Wajet, and its occasionally appearance on other goddesses suggested a broader association with the Wajet's guardianship. This shared symbolism underscores a multifaceted nature of the serpent. The duality deepens with the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. The Nekabet, vulture goddess of Upper Egypt, merges with the Wajet to form the Netabi. These are the two ladies. The Netabi symbolize the complete protection of the unified kingdom, a powerful image showcasing the serpent's transformation from a regional protector to a symbol of a national unity. Ultimately, the serpent in Egyptian mythology transcends simple representation. It embodies a constant interplay of opposing forces of order and chaos, life and death, where at the center, which was at the center of Egyptian worldview. Oedipus, the serpent bearer, the power of the divine feminine. Oephasis, the serpent bearer, the constellation which transcends its astronomical origins. Its name is a fusion of Greek, which means serpent, and to handle, which hints to a deeper story. We find a potential connection to the Egyptian god Hippocrates, which is associated with silence, childhood, and it suggests a more complex past. This complexity extends to the symbolic interpretation of Oephasis, often depicted as a man grasping a serpent. It embodies a strong, independent spirit of one that embraces its true self and offers guidance to others. However, this very powerful symbol, particularly when associated with women, has historically been faced with opposition. The persecution of women linked to healing and intuition often is demonized as witchcraft, and it reflects deeply and it is ingrained as in fear of the feminine power. This fear manifests as struggle between materialism and is focused on exploiting and destroying the nurturing maternalistic point of view. Oephatus then becomes a symbol of potentiality for the forgotten past where the feminine wisdom held sway, and this past continues to endure despite attempts to suppress it. The serpent, willpower, and the goal of duality. Gnosticism and the serpent are rich in symbolism. Matthias, or Matthew, often linked to the serpent, or Scorpio, Yesod, in astrology. Yesod is connected to alchemy, and creation suggests a potential link to the divine spark within humans. However, Matthias, or Matthew, is associated with the signs of Judas, and it hints to the potential for betrayal and the misuse of knowledge. This inherent duality reflects the Gnostic serpent as a symbol of both positive and negative aspects of a creature capable of both enlightenment and temptation. The two serpents representing the both opposing forces that guide humanity on its journey. A monstrous serpent on the left embodies the destructive force seeking to extinguish the divine light within humans. This serpent parallels the Garden of Eden serpent, tempting Adam and Eve with the forbidden fruit, with the forbidden knowledge and leading them from paradise. Here, the serpent represents the negative aspects of the human nature, the thirst for forbidden knowledge that separates us from the divine and fosters a constant struggle against corruption. On the other hand, the benevolent serpent on the right is linked to the intellect and positive transformation. Connected to one's thoughts, this serpent embodies potential for achieving gnosis, a state of spiritual awakening and the liberation from material world. Here, the serpent represents the positive potential of knowledge, guiding humanity towards self-realization and reclaiming the divine spark. This good serpent signifies the potential for humans to transcend their limitations, and achieve a higher consciousness. This portrayal of the serpent emphasizes a core Gnostic belief that humanity exists in an inherent belief of duality, which is caught between the forces of ignorance and enlightenment. While the bad serpent represents the allure of the material world and the dangers of an unchecked ambition, the good serpent embodies the potential of spiritual growth and liberation. Ultimately, the individual chooses which serpent to follow, determining whether they succumb to worldly temptations or ascend towards enlightenment. The Nagashakti and the Anakopi. The Nagashakti serpent deities are revered in Hinduism, Buddhism, and the Southeast Asian religions. These powerful figures depicted as human-snake hybrids hold immense significance, symbolizing water, fertility, protection, and wisdom. Nagas are deeply intertwined with the natural world, particularly with water sources like rivers, lakes, and springs. Their worshippers appease them with offerings for good harvest, health, and protection, which was celebrated at the Naga Panchami celebration or ceremony. Their offerings were typically of milk, flowers, or coconuts. The Naga pantheon is not a monolith. Some Nagas, like the Shesha, were revered benevolent protectors. Shesha, with his magnificent seven heads, serves as a cosmic serpent, providing a resting place for the Hindu god Vishnu, opposite of figures like Kaliya, who represent the destructive aspects of nature. Krishna's victory over Kaliya symbolizes the triumph over good over evil. The influence of Naga worship extends beyond Hinduism. In Buddhism, the Nagas are seen as guardians of Dharma, the righteous path. The Buddha himself is said to have found refuge under the protective hood of the Naga king during a period of meditation. Southeast Asian cultures, particularly Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos, have deeply integrated Naga imagery into their artistic and architectural traditions. Magnificent temples adorned with Naga sculptures stand as testaments to their enduring reverence to these serpent deities. Naga worship is a bridge connecting people to their cultural heritage and the potent forces of nature. The serpent is a reoccurring symbol in the Naga narrative, and it embodies both positive and negative aspects. It represents fertility, wisdom, and a life-giving power of water, but it also is a destructive potential of untamed nature. Understanding this duality allows us to appreciate the complexity of the Naga concept. Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, the god of the Aztecs, embodies a complex web of symbolism, functioning not as just a divine figure, but as a fundamental concept within the Aztec cosmological framework. To grasp the true essence of Quetzalcoatl, one must dissect the multifaceted nature and explore the potential connections of broader and philosophical religious themes. Quetzalcoatl, the very name, translates to the precious serpent bird. It reveals his core concept, a God who bridges the gap between the two worlds. The majestic feathers represent the celestial realm, while the powerful serpent represents the earthly realm. This duality reflects the Aztec obsession with maintaining harmonious balance between the heavens and the earth, a principle woven into their creation myths and their social order. Quetzalcoatl is credited with the creation of the world itself and its its resource of maize or corn, and even the life-sustaining wind. Furthermore, he is revered as a symbol of knowledge and learning, acting as a patron of the arts and sciences. His role in Aztec civilization wasn't just responsible for the physical world, but also the intellectual and cultural development of humanity. In addition, a layer of complexity is unveiled by Quetzalcoatl associated with Venus, the morning star. Venus, which is in his cyclical phase, visit and is visible, connects him to the concepts of death and rebirth. This resonates with the Aztec belief of cyclical time and the importance of renewal. Life and death are not seen as opposing forces, but rather a continuous cosmic dance, ensuring the cyclical continuation of existence. Quetzalcoatl is a representation of the universal archetype, more particularly the spiritual sun, which is in the very essence of the existence of the very divine and true nature of the word that resonates across all cultures. Quetzalcoatl is comprehended and compared to figures such as the Roman god Mithra, light and truth, and the Greco-Roman or the Greco-Egyptian Hermes Trismegistus, also known as knowledge and magic, or his original title, Thoth or Tehuti. Levites and the Leviathan. Seemingly straightforward, the narrative of Moses' staff transforming into a serpent in Exodus 4, 1-5 takes on a new layer of meaning when we delve into the historical context of the region. This exploration sheds light on a potential connection between the early Israelites and the Canaanite neighbors, offering a richer understanding of the episode and the symbolism embedded within. Traditionally, the story has been interpreted as demonstration of Moses' divine power granted to him to perform miracles. With this staff, he transformed into a serpent, and it became a tool to convince Aaron, who was skeptical of God's will. However, recent scholarship has suggested a more nuanced perspective. Since Moses was a part of the tribe of Levi, uh, and this tribe, he was a Levite, and uh, the Levites held allegiance to a Canaanite deity called the Leviathan in the Canaanite pantheon. Leviathan embodied the untamed forces of nature, the chaotic powers of the sea, and the unpredictable wilderness. This potential connection between the Levites and the serpent god adds intrigue to the narrative. The act of Moses' staff transforming into a serpent can be interpreted within this context. The serpent initially associated with the untamed power and potential of destructiveness of the Leviathan submits to Moses' authority and transforms back into a staff. This is a symbolic dance that can be seen and represented as the integration of an older Canaanite belief into the emerging of a Yahwehistic religion or Jehovah religion. The worship of Yahweh or Moses, the God of Moses, Moses acting as Yahweh's representative demonstrates Yahweh's dominion over the chaotic forces previously embodied by the Leviathan. The narrative becomes a subtle power struggle, showcasing the rise of a new deity and its claim to supremacy over an established Canaanite pantheon. All right, this concludes my presentation. I'll be passing it over to Michael so he can start his, and I'll stop share. And let me make sure my share settings are on for you to share screen. Okay, thank you.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Good game. Good evening, everybody. Welcome again. Happy New Year's Eve to you, to everybody again. Um, my presentation will be on the Kundalini and the Serpent. As you heard from Michael Williams' presentation a few seconds ago. He gave a history of the symbolism of different serpents from other mythologies and philosophies. And I'm gonna bring you in, and we're gonna close it out with my presentation on the Kundalini and the serpent. So my agenda, what I'm going to discuss tonight is understanding Kundalini energy, the awakening of Kundalini, the serpent in the Kundalini, the serpent in Kundalini and various symbols, the Nehushtan or Nehushtan, Santa Claus, and I know that that's probably going to raise a couple of eyebrows. The cosmic egg, and um, you should see a little connection with Psalms 133 here as I describe the cosmic egg and the Axis Mundi, and then we'll close this out. So imagine unleashing like an inner power, right? And imagine tapping into a wellspring of untapped potential. This is within your solar plexus, a dormant energy that lies coiled within you, just waiting to be unlocked and transform your life. So tonight, I implore you all to join us on a journey as we explore that connection between the serpent and Kundalini awakening, and get ready to unlock the secret of your own inner power and discover that path to spiritual growth and enlightenment.
Mike, you're muted and switch your notes slide. You got your slides backwards.
Okay. All right. So I'm on understand the Kundalini. Okay. All right. So Kundalini is an
Journey notes and
evolutionary.
insertion.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you, Mike. I didn't.
Turn your slide deck around. The notes are showing.
Okay. Am I on understanding Kundalini? Okay. Sorry for that. Sorry for that, everybody. So again, understand the Kundalini. So what is Kundalini for those that may have never heard of this term? Kundalini is a evolutionary energy at the base of the spine in the coccyx region that is said to be coiled 3.5 times in its state of potential unawakened humans or the uninitiated. The word Kundalini is of Eastern origin, namely yoga and tantra. In Sanskrit, Kundalini means coiled snake. Once awakened, the Kundalini rises to the spinal column through the three main nadis, all the way up to the top of the head. The term nadi is a Sanskrit word that translates as tube, channel, or flow. Simply put, nadis are the channels that carry energy in the body, similar to blood cells in the body. Essentially, there are three main nadis in the subtle body. They are the Sushumna, the Eda, and the Pingala. The Sushumna is the central channel. The Ida is the left channel, and the Pingala is the right channel. The Sushumna, the shu the Sushumna nadi runs along the spine from the base of the spine, which is the Muladhara chakra, to the crown of the head, which is the Sahasrara chakra. It is also a hollow tube of the spinal column. Intertwining around the Sushumna are two supplementary nadis, which are the Ida and the Pingala. The Pingala is the masculine or the sun nadi, which controls heat in the body, and the Ida is the feminine moon nada, which regulates cold in the body. Sounds familiar for some of us that are initiated in other bodies of work, which is Boaz and Yakin, or the two pillars. Combined, these two nadis symbolize the masculine and feminine principles within all things in our universe. In Sanskrit, the two nadis channels referred to as the Surya, sun, and the Chandra, moon. During an awakening, as the energy rises simultaneously through the three nadis, the chakras are open from the base of the spine upward to the brain. At this point, supplementary nadis meet at the chakra points and are eliminated in Anja chakra. The Kundalini continues to elevate towards the center crown of the top of the head, breaking the cosmic egg, which activates the body of light or the astral body. The cosmic egg is just another term for Sahara chakra, the Brahmahadra, or in Kabbalah would allude to the Ketha Sephiroth. This cosmic egg is a container which houses latent energy or the creative power. This egg symbolizes the primordial state of the universe before the manifestation of creation. Again, once the Kundalini energy permeates through it on the upward rise, this latent energy is released, infusing 72,000 nadis, which refers to the body of light activation. In Kabbalah, this process is called the path of the serpent because of its reverse zigzag nature back up the column or the diagram of the tree of life. So now understanding giving you that understanding, there's also a flip side to it. So it's the dark side. After a full of Kundalini awakening, the chakras, the tree of life of Sephiroth becomes permanently infused with light energy, activating their states of consciousness within the individual. The chakra becomes like light bulbs, which emit lights respective to how clean, pure, and in tune they are. Let's say that again. Respective to how clean, pure, and in tune they are. For example, if there are a lot of karma in a particular chakra, it emits a dim light rather than a bright one. It is your solemn duty you owe to your creator to cleanse your chakra and remove that negativity from each so that each can shine brightly, allowing you to align your consciousness with your soul. A full awakening nests the Kundalini energy in the brain permanently, uniting consciousness and subconscious minds. If there's a dormant negative energy present in the chakras, it will flood the consciousness in the form of unpleasant thoughts and emotions. One can't hide from their demons anymore after the Kundalini enters the brain, resulting in a resurgence of harmful viewpoints, beliefs, and attitudes towards life that will have to be overcome. Therefore, you must purge your energy from your system, which starts with cleansing the chakras. Through purification, you alter your beliefs about yourself and the world. After all, to experience divine light within you, a complete transformation of your character and personality is necessary. You must become a spiritual being whose consciousness is higher in vibration than before. There is no shortcut. To achieve this, your ego must die and be reborn. And this is the ultimate rebirth concept alluded to by many religions, new and old. However, it is more than an idea for the Kundalini however, more than an idea for the Kundalini awakened people to initiate it, it is the only reality they need to concern themselves with until the process is complete. Kundalini awakened individuals must learn who they are deep inside, the good and the bad, and accept and love themselves. Once they go within, they can bypass the ego and contact their real self, the higher self of the spirit. To accomplish this, they must build virtues, remove vices, and adopt moral and ethical behaviors into their lives to overcome the fear and anxiety that is hampering their very existence. So you see, to get the Kundalini can be seen as a curse at first if you had a spontaneous awakening and was unprepared. However, there's no shortcuts to enlightenment. And once the genie is out the bottle, there's no putting it back again. The Kundalini rapidly accelerates the spiritual evolution journey, but to raise the vibration of your consciousness, you must overcome the negative energy stored within each chakra. There's a systematic process starting from the lower chakra, which is the Muladhara, and finishing with the Sahasrara, the Sahasrara at the crown. Since the ego is present within your physical body, which is the low vibration part of you, you need to start there and begin removing layers of your consciousness, each less dense than the one that came before it. When you reach that final layer, you have found your philosopher's stone, that quintessence. You have reached the higher self of that spiritual plane. This process towards enlightenment is alluded to by the story of the crucifixion of Yahshua. Once he died on the cross, instead of being resurrected and lying right away, he had to spend 3 days in the underworld or the demonic realm to go to hell before becoming the king of heaven. Once you confronted your inner demons with courage instead of fear, they no longer have power over you. And fear is what they feed off and what their sustenance is. And you can master them and give them back their wings. Since demons are nothing just uninitiated angels or unmastered angels. To maximize our willpower, which Mike talked about in his previous slides, we must master our dark side to reach the spiritual realm. And this is a prerequisite. And here we have that, and just to add on to what I was talking about, Yahshua going to the demonic realm, that was a metaphor for embracing that mastery over that fear, getting over your dark side. But now we get how does it, you know, how does the serpent tie into this? Just as the snake rests coiled and hidden, here's where the Kundalini ties into that. Kundalini lies dormant within us, waiting to be awakened. It represents that primal creative energy that exists within every human being. And when awakened, this coiled serpent uncoils and rises through the central energy channel in the spine known as the Sushumna Nadi, activating and harmonizing the chakras along its path. The coiled serpent represents the potential for personal growth, self-realization, and the union of individual consciousness with the divine. By the snake shedding of its skin is often associated with the process of spiritual growth and shedding of old patterns, vices, superfluities, so on. Just as the snake rejuvenates itself by shedding its skin, the awakened Kundalini allows the individual to release old beliefs, fears, and attachments, leading to inner transformation and spiritual evolution. In Kundalini practices, the core serpent serves as a reminder of that dormant power. And now we get into the Nuhushtan, right? The story of the Nuhushtan begins uh, with the Hebrew people being complaints about the lack of confidence. And this is covered under Numbers 21, 6 through 9. You may have heard of this referred to as the brazen serpent, right? And they felt slavery in Egypt was better than wandering in the desert. So the people felt as if God had turned their back on them. And in an instance, some of the Israelites who were dissatisfied with the current situation expressed their preference for slavery in Egypt over the present struggles. Their negative thoughts and actions angered God, leading to a withdrawal from his protection and a subsequent manifestation of venomous states in the form of punishment. And this serves as a reminder that we often, in our spiritual nature, and and we separate from divine guidance. The bites from the serpent can be seen symbolically as the influence of negative forces such as demonic insuations and thoughts, wills, and actions, or your lower nature. The use of the term Nehushtan from the brazen serpent occurs only once in the Bible at the time of Hezekiah's religious reforms in 6th century BC. The root meaning in Hebrew is Nahash, or to raise up, but which can also mean intuitive knowledge or natural ability. The phrase Nahash Nahoshet means brazen for brazen serpent. Since Nahash relates to the biblical word for snake, it follows the name Nehushtan in 2 Kings, should be interpreted as the raised brazen serpent. An account in Numbers 21 and Numbers biblical scripture, Numbers 21 verses 6 through 9, uses in the Hebrew is used as the word, the Hebrew word is seraph, meaning angel, to describe Moses' raised serpent. And then in plural, seraphim are the attacking snakes or the fiery serpents. The seraphim is also featured in the Bible as winged angelic beings. The supernatural seraphim of the Old Testament are the spiritual entities of the first emanation of God, many of whom rebelled against the Creator, in turn became demons. We all heard that story. Their role was in the persecution of unruly Hebrews. Hence the reason Moses' raised serpent only provided relief and did not banish or destroy the demonic forces. It only provided relief. It is therefore possible that the Nehushtan may have been portrayed as winged or angelic Sephra. And there's an interconnection between the serpents of seraphim, which is the fire serpents, and the Ark of the Covenant, which was made by wood and metal. One, the two winged seraphim made of gold are placed in the top of the Ark of the Covenant, facing each other. Both icons combined wood and metal, like the Nehushtan, or the Nehushtan. Both have the imagery of the sacred staff of Moses. We understand the staff of Moses once had became a serpent when he was talking to Pharaoh. Well, really, when he challenged Pharaoh. Both contain seraph symbols, and both contain the hidden presence of God. Remember, when Moses spoke to when God spoke to Moses at the presence of the Ark of the Covenant, he did this between the two seraphim, known as the mercy seat. And there's a few points I want to emphasize in what I just discussed above, what I just discussed a little bit. And I wanted to add in a couple of other connections that you can make with the Nehushtan. This is one of my favorite symbols. All right, and the serpent one, as I was discussing a few seconds ago, was that in the Ark of the Covenant and the brazen serpent are each comprised of dead, natural and living, supernatural forms. In Egyptian alchemy, the fifth element was the quintessence, the pure and essential essence created out of chaos. And it was regarded as a vital force of ether, a vital life force, or ether that could be manipulated through magic, and the assaying of metals and other elemental forms. The four primary elements in nature and the fifth element of the prima materia are combined in the staff of Moses. Again, serpent. And when you hear me say staff of Moses, thinking about him when that staff became a serpent. And Moses, wood and of itself grows in the earth, is nurtured by the fire light of the sun, is fed by water and grows in the air. Those elements could recombine with the tria prima, or the primal trinity of fire and air and water, and earth and water, or the supreme triad in Kabbalah. This is representative of the soul or igniting force, the spirit of meditating force that carries the soul into the body, and the body or integrated force combining the soul and spirit into form. And we might think of this along the lines of a serpent-like lightning bolt, or Quetzalcoatl that might mentioned before, which is also deemed to be a thunder god. So you see how, again, you make the connections with lightning bolts and serpents. On a quantum level, it is through these forces and essentials that all matter and forms are generated. The significance of the dead wood comprised in the staff, the arc, and the Hushin and the Hushton tells us that death is but a process of the change of form from one stage of alchemical transformation to another. The second, the serpent wand of Moses in the ark undoubtedly symbolizes the burning bush, the presence of God amongst the people. The pole used in the pole used to raise the brazen serpent may symbolize both Moses' staff, and which are later replicated in the two stars of the ark, symbolizing the power of God over life and death. The brazen serpent affixed to its projects and combined forces of supernatural and elemental power. As the people can be cured by looking up at the brazen serpent, so they can be killed by touching the ark of the covenant. And when they came out of the threshing floor of Chilin, Upsa or Utsa put forth his hand to hold the ark. For the oxen stumbled, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and he smote him, because he put forth his hand to the ark, and there he died before God. Chronicles 13, verse 9 through 10. And finally, God commands that the serpent and the pole are to be raised, which mirrors both the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil in Genesis. The triune powers of Moses' staff that the pole symbolizes remind us of the three branches of the Kabbalistic tree of life, namely the pillars of judgment, mercy, and balance. In geometrical terms, or in geometry, the vesica Pisces formed by two intersected by the triangle, or three formed by two, represents the perfect balance of two opposite forms, which the third mediating form. For example, a trinity of man's mind, body, and spirit. The negative 23 in numerological 5 in all its negative aspects, as allegorized by the serpent staff bringing plague to Egypt. The ark striking dead the profane in the plague of fiery serpents. The conjecture being made is that the Nehushtan is disguised form of the vesica Pisces, converging with the geometric triangle, which in turn represents the fifth element trapped in elemental nature. The Nehushtan may therefore be said to offer a metaphysical solution to suffering. Say that again. The Nehushtan may therefore be said to offer a metaphysical solution to suffering. It is really part of a trilogy of similar forms in the Exodus narrative conveying both God's power and his presence, namely Moses' staff, the ark, and the Nehushtan. So now I get into another part when we talk about the story of Santa Claus. And this one was really exciting to me because I never thought about it in this facet. So I hope after you guys hear this, you take a further look into the story of Santa Claus. Now, like how will we put this together? But walk me through this, and we're gonna get through it together, right? So Santa Claus is derived from the same root word as claustrum, from which cloister is also derived, right? So claustrum means a barrier or a covered place or seclusion. A cloister is referred to a place of seclusion, and more especially a place of seclusion for something holy or something dedicated to divinity. So here we have, again, Santa Claus or claustrum, right? And the claustrum, we all know, is within the cerebrum. The claustrum plays several important roles in neural processing and cognition. While the exact functions of the claustrum are still not fully understood, Some research has suggested that it is involved in a couple of roles. I'm only going to highlight three, but there's several roles where the colostrum plays a role in. The colostrum is believed to play a crucial role in integrating sensory information from various modalities such as vision, hearing, and touch. And it helps in coordinating and synchronizing signals from different sensory regions of the brain. Consciousness and awareness. Again, we hear that word again. Some studies have suggested that the colostrum may be involved in the generation of consciousness and awareness. And it's hypothesized that the colostrum acts as a central hub for integrating information and coordinating the activities in different brain regions to create a unified conscious experience. And last but not least, the colostrum is thought to be involved in directing attention and detecting salient stimuli in the environment. This aids in prioritizing and focusing on relevant sensory information and filtering out irrelevant distractions. So um, as we put that together, you remember, I was telling you where this coiled snake, where your energy rests at. We talk about this from the solar plexus to the skull. We once again see the serpent power, Kundalini, in the cerebrum as the article symbology of Santa Claus, or the colostrum oil. You also might hear this as the Christos oil coming down the chimney to give us precious gifts. That chimney is your vertebrae or your spinal cord. Those precious gifts is the gifts that you gain from Kundalini awakening. The suture of the skull is the point where the bones meet, where we can easily see the place on the top of the head. We actually use this, we see this on the top of infants and children. As the sections are not been drawn closely together and the vibrations of the brain could be seen and felt, right? And I remember being young and we was talking about as you go older, that begins to close. In sacred, this is called the door of Brahm, for it is the aperture through which the ego or spirit leaves the body. It's also the chimney of Santa Claus. Now, another allusion to this is the Jacob's ladder, right? Not just talking about a actual ladder, it's talking about your vertebrae. Again, so the vertebrae as a whole is called the stick of Bra, another allusion to the chimney of Santa Claus. Directly underneath the door of Bra is the triangular shaped body named in physiology the island of Rail or the solar plexus. You see that again. This is the place where John was when he looked back and saw the wonderful vision of a regenerated man in the Isle of Patmos. The island is the central lobe of the cerebrum and is also called the pole. Hence, the island of Rail is the north pole of the body and is as well known the imperishable sacred land or the pineal gland. And last but not least, we get to the axis mundi. This was this was really eye-opening for me as I was getting ready for this lecture. Um, did not realize how like the buildings and sacred temples that actually follow this symbol, this symbology, and how the snake plays in architecture. So, um, in the origins of the axis mundi, this serpent symbolizes Kundalini energy, a dormant spiritual force cord at the base of the spine. Right, the axis mundi can be seen as a representation of the central channel through which the Kundalini energy ascends, allowing for transcendence of consciousness and connection to higher realms, a spiritual pathway or bridge between the different realms. Right. Also, remember I was talking about previously in the oldest slide deck. how the serpent is associated with the vertical axis that runs through the subtle energy centers of the body, which is the chakras of the body. And each chakra along the axis or the spine represents a different level of consciousness and spiritual development, sort of like the Sephiroth given in the Tree of Life out of the 10 Sephiroths. Um, in ancient civilizations, um, again, the axis mundi represented Kundalini energy and its connection to cosmic energy flow. Right? Oh shoot. Sorry about that. All right. So the presence of serpents in ancient civilization depictions of axis mundi signify the importance of spiritual transformation and union within the divine. In world religions, they starting from Hinduism, the core serpent around Mount Heru represents the Kundalini energy journey along the central axis leading to self-realization and spiritual enlightenment. The serpents present in Islam, Kaaba, are seen as representations of also of Kundalini energy connection to celestial waters of paradise, symbolizing again the transcendence of consciousness. In Norse mythology, you hear of the Yggdrasil, representing the interconnectedness of the realms of and the spiritual journey of the individual. It is said to connect the nine worlds with its roots in the underworld and branches reaching the heavens. The Yggdrasil serves as a symbol of the cosmic axis linking the realm of the earth, gods, and the ancestors. And last but not least, which I found really amazing, is the modern interpretation of the Axis Mundi and how it plays it influences the designs of sacred places and city layouts. Temples, churches, and mosques are aligned along the central axis that represents the connection between the earthly and divine realms, usually marked by an aisle or processional route leading the worshiper towards a sacred place. Additionally, axial symmetry is used where structures and elements are arranged equally on both sides of the central axis to create a harmonious and visually pleasing environment. Sounds familiar, right? Finally, the layout of cities and urban places are designed with a central axis, such as a main boulevard or a grand avenue that serves as a focal point for the city and connects important landmarks and sacred sites. Now you get to the cosmic egg, which you heard me refer to previously in the slides. Now, the cosmic egg translate into the Anatashisha. Anatashisha is considered the support and foundation for the entire universe, and it is believed that all planets, galaxies, and celestial bodies rest on his numerous hoods. His immersed strength and stability upholds the cosmos. He represents the surface association with divine energy and the cosmic order. In Hindu, the Anatashisha is involved in the creation of the universe during the cosmic cycle. This is during the beginning when thought, will, and action came in. You're going to hear you're about to hear a common name, which is the Lord Vishnu awakens from his comet. When Lord Vishnu awakens from his cosmic slumber, Anatashisha is said to uncoil and create the material foundation, the oil or the new universe, the cosmic egg. Anatashisha represents the harmonious balance between the opposing forces of creation and destruction. His presence symbolizes the delicate equilibrium necessary for functioning of the universe, the Brahman. Anatashisha is an ardent devotee and loyal companion of Lord Vishnu. He is considered the guardian and protector of Lord Vishnu's divine incarnations, avatars, and assists in their missions to restore karmic order. In visual depictions, you'll see that this Anatashisha is often portrayed as a massive serpent with multiple heads. coiled in a circular shape. Lord Vishnu is shown reclining on his coils with Anadashita's hoods forming a protective canopy above him. The association between Anada Shisha and Lord Vishnu highlights the interdependence and inseparable connection between the cosmic serpent and the divine preserver. Anada Shisha's significance extends beyond his role as a mythological figure, representing not only the internal principles of infinity, balance, but also support the Hizmu cosmology. And I, and that one, for my audience members, for everybody that was here, that ends my presentation. Thank you again for all of you guys joining us tonight as we delved into some fascinating, kind of profound connections with the serpent and spirituality. We learned that the serpent has been a potent symbol across a myriad of cultures and religions, representing transformation, wisdom, and divine energy. And I encourage you all to further explore and contemplate the significance of the serpent and Kundalini in your own spiritual journey. And may the wisdom and symbolism guide you on your path. And with that, I end my presentation and we are open for questions.
All right, all right, all right. Great presentation, brother. We did our thing again. Had a couple hiccups, but we'll make it through.
Yeah.
All right. So far we got one question from the YouTube channel. It says, uh, can anyone work towards enlightenment? Of course, anybody can work towards enlightenment. If you choose to work towards enlightenment, I mean, what is religion? What is all of this stuff that we call spirituality? It is working towards enlightenment. It's about bettering yourself. I mean, um, it's all about finding self-transcendence, looking for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, living an ethical life. Living an ethical life is a simple form of transcending. I mean, just having simple morals and values, something, just standing up for something. I mean, people who stand up for something, if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything. That's the philosophy I grew up around. So always stand up for something. Stand up for yourself, stand up for your friends, stand up for your beliefs. Don't let nobody just run over you. And so stand up for something and live an ethical life. Western esotericism says, they use as above, so below. And, that's the realization of connectedness of everything. And that's basically what this lecture is about. If you realize what we've been talking about, we're talking about the interconnectedness of ourselves with the higher being and how the higher being reaches down into us. This is what this is about. The higher being has no name. It has no figurative features as people would like to give it. I mean, if a God looked like me, I wouldn't want to worship it. I mean, I don't want to worship a God anyway. I mean, the thing is, I wouldn't want to follow or take advice from somebody who looks like me. That means I'm flawable. That person's fallible. I want to know who created that person. The creator, as we know it or we perceive it to be, is an energy. It's a synchronistic energy that speaks to us through vibration, sound, and frequency. It talks to us through Kundalini. It talks to us through this energy that Michael's talking about. And once you put that into understanding and you go into a place of meditation, that's where you find a way to transcend and actually focus on your ascension. All the other stuff don't really hold any weight until you focus on becoming who you are without all the bull stuff. Okay. We got another. Somebody said, can they get a copy of the lecture? Yeah, you can watch the YouTube video again and get the lecture. Sorry about that.
See another one said, why is the serpent demonized in modern society?
Well, the
Um,
serpent, oh, you want first or me?
yeah, okay, so I believe it's just I believe in society is demonized, especially in Western, because of the depiction. One is the depiction of the serpent in the story of creation in Genesis. the serpent is given a negative connotations for what he spoke to Eve about, but not understanding of where, um, there's a couple of other scriptures mentioned in different volume sections of law that talking about um, being wise as a serpent, talking about the transformative power of the serpent. And on the east side, where on the east side of the world, where the serpent is held in high regard. So I believe that's where why the serpent is demonized quite often. Also, when I talked about in my slide about the brazen serpent, the snake's biting. So again, only focusing on that one little piece instead of the whole entire story and understanding, and that's why I made that emphasis on, it was looked upon from the brazen serpent or the new Hushton to look at it as for healing, but it can also kill, just like water. Water can bring life, but you can also drown in water, and there's also water poisoning. So you have to find that middle ground, and I think that's why it's demonized in modern society. And I hope that um, answered your question.
Then there's some other mythological reasons behind it, that is tied to religion and spirituality as well, and aspects of the church. So, for instance, if you listen to the beginning of my lecture, I mentioned that the serpents are tied to the Anunnaki gods, and this all goes back to the tree and all of this stuff. So, if you go into the mythological aspect of this, these cultures and these cults or groups existed across the planet. They started in the Sumerian pantheon and they worked everywhere across the globe, in Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, and all of these places. You go to these temples, there are existing and remnants of these cultures of the Serpentine Empire. So, essentially, what happened is that some spiritual movements and leaders decided that the Serpentine Empire needed to be eradicated and wiped out for whatever reasons. Many stories say that they had advanced technology and that technology was needed to be suppressed. And once that technology was suppressed, that's when other bodies could control the world or control how the world flows. And that's how we ended up where we are now because all of that technology had moved out. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't know, but that's what the stuff says. The books out there, the technology piece, I don't know. However, the temples, I can say they're real because I've been to a few of them and I've seen them myself. Um, that part I can say is real. The rest of it, it's fiction, make believe, myth, and I won't know until I die. But other than that, but that's how I see the connectedness to it. And you see, the last Serpentine Empire was actually destroyed in Ireland. They were the Druids, and the remnants of the Druids slash the pygmy, or they called them the leprechaun. These people, or they were dark skinned, blue people, of course. You can insinuate on what they look like. So they were dark-skinned blue people that were basically eradicated, and they were the last people to build megalithic empires like Stonehenge, and they were eradicated by the church, and that's why they have St. Patrick's Day. People believe St. Patrick's Day is one thing, but St. Patrick's Day is actually the snakes that he was eradicating wasn't a snake, it was a people. It was a lineage of people, the pygmy people that were linked to the Druids, and they were linked to the serpent culture. So that is what I've seen, and what my interpretation and my understanding of it. Okay, then got another question. How do we use Freemasonry to transcend or begin working on our energy?
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's a good question.
Well, Mike, you can go ahead and tell them something, or I can go ahead and let them know something.
All right, so dang, how we use transcend or begin working on our energy. I think that begins when um I think that begins at the ground floor. And that begins when I was talking about those vices and superfluities, starting there. Um, getting rid of some of the things that you know is not good for your temple. Um, and also understanding the several liberal sciences, especially music. We talk about vibrations and, um, I always tell Mike, words have assignments, words have vibrations. Um, Understanding the energy concepts of um, rhythms, understanding how grammar and rhetoric and geometry and all these other things. If sacred geometry, if you haven't gotten to that, I would definitely tell you take a look into sacred geometry. Um, Understanding that you're once you get past breaking those superfluities and those things about yourself, now you got to really take a look and dive deep into who you really are. And that's not an easy task to do because you got to look into the dark side. You got to look into a different side of yourself and be truthful and honest about who you are. And you heard me mention that also. So all of those things are transcendent. Um, will help you to transcend and begin working on your energy, having the right people around you. I don't Mike is not a yes man to me. If it's something I mess up on, it's the same thing for him. We hold each other accountable for something and we don't let each other be relaxed. So it's also your environment plays a part in that. It plays a part into that also. And you need a three. You need a three. That's the one thing I tell you. You have to have some people around you that are your accountability officers. And one might be um, the WM today, or one might be the strength today. One might be the beauty today, and it all interchanges. And you have those people in your life, and these will help bring about that transcendence, and definitely taking a look at Kundalini and like understanding uh, Kundalini yoga practices and meditations and stuff like that. And a lot of this stuff is already in our symbolisms of, for those that practice other spiritual practices and stuff. Taking a look at something that you may not be comfortable in. um, are you comfortable being uncomfortable? Are you learning anything new? Or are you just stuck in your own ways? And um I think I think that will help in the beginning of your transcendence. And that's my 2 cents on that. Without me going too further.
All right. So just I'm gonna tap on a little bit of something, and it's something I've been working on, and it's about ultimate realization. And this ultimately realization, it's about going into the void of consciousness. And many mystical traditions, the ultimate realization is often described as an encounter with the Godhead or the void, a state of being that encompasses both fullness and the existence of the emptiness within which it springs. This paradoxical state transcends duality and defies description, existing beyond the limits of the human language and all comprehension. The culmination of a Masonic journey is indeed any spiritual quest might be and understood as a conscious participation in the divine or an act of co-creation with an ultimate reality. This involves recognizing oneself as both a unique expression of the divine and an inseparable from the whole part of creation, engaging in the ongoing unfolding of the universe with awareness, love, and purpose. So, what am I saying right there? You got to be involved in everything you do inside of the world, inside of the universe. You got to be involved with stuff. That's how you ascend. You can't just be a bench warmer. You can't just sit up here and be talking about stuff. You got to be involved in the life of yourself, your family, the people around you, whoever you come in contact with, whether it be a smile, whatever you do, you have to be engaged. You can't sit up here and be in your phone all damn day. Oh, excuse me. You can't be on your phone all day. You can't, you have to be around. Life and living is knowing the world and reality. And it's not the screen. The stuff that's on the screen, that's a distraction. Most of the time, reality hits us when we least expecting it. And that's when our eyes are focused. And that's how we ascend. That last verse I just read to y'all, is coming from volume 3 of my book, which I'll be releasing this April. So be on the lookout. Volume 3, The Science of Light, coming out soon. Oh, we got another question. Why is looking into the dark side or darkness necessary? You want me to go first or you go first?
Yeah, you can take this one first. I'll come after you.
Okay. All right. Well, why is looking into the darkness necessary? Well, you can't understand who you are until you look at the negative side of who you are. Most people are afraid to look at who they are and the negativity behind them. Everybody thinks darkness is something evil going out and, the devil or something like that. No, the darkness is you. The darkness is your evil side. Everybody got a split personality, but everybody's afraid to admit it. You talk to yourself. Everybody talks to themselves. There's a voice inside of your head. There's an angel on the left and there's a demon on the right. They used to show it on cartoons, but people want to admit, or they fail to admit, that that doesn't happen. They don't want to admit that they have two kinds of people inside of themselves. That's where we come in. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about balance and equilibrium, bringing those two halves together, becoming one solid unit. And when you bring those two pieces together, that's how you ascend. You have to accept the reality of who you are. If you've done something wrong, ain't nobody out in the world gonna care about what you did wrong except you. So the reality of it is that you have to accept your actions and you have to overcome your actions. That's how you go into the darkness. That's what darkness is. Accepting your reality of who you are, accepting your negativity. And once you accept that negativity, you bring out the light within you, and the rest of the world receives you as who you are. And they receive the trueness that you bring. And that light that you shine out reflects to the world, and nothing but abundance comes back to you. Because darkness is nothing but light that is unfiltered by eyes that can't see.
Dang, you took like most of my points, bro.
You don't even think about it.
You took like most. I don't think I just add like another part to that. Take a look at what we believe darkness is. We have media that tell us something, tell us what darkness is, and that's television shows and all of these things that we usually learn by what we watched and what we heard from others instead of what it means to us. Darkness to some may not mean darkness to another. Darkness in other philosophies and other religions may not mean the same thing for us over here on the western side of the world. And again, what Mike said, darkness, if you can't say what something is or isn't without having knowledge of it. So you gotta have both. That's what he was talking about, that equilibrium. How you can't say I know what the light is if you've never been in the dark. You have nothing to compare it to. So what do you I don't know what something clean is unless I had it dirty. So there's something in the middle of there again, or that middle pillar, right? Because we got two pillars. Well, we go up the middle, and There's something at the top of there. It's that it's in the middle is where you find deity. It's the harmony exists in the joining of contraries. So again, how can you be enlightened but don't know your dark side? I don't want to. I don't want to. I just want to stay in the light and ignore the dark. If you keep ignoring the dark, if you keep ignoring the dark, you only feeding it because eventually it will come out because it's just as much as part of you as the light. Just like you are of every human being on this planet has a feminine and masculine side. So why do we think there's anything different when it comes to light and dark? So that's why looking into your dark side is a prerequisite to enlightenment. There's no way, shape, or form you're going to be enlightened without understanding your dark. Because you don't even know you wouldn't even know what to call it if it did become enlightening. Oh, this just happening. Well, how do I know? Well, I don't got nothing to compare it with. So what am I just calling? I'm gonna just call it it. Well, this it is happening to me. Why? Because I don't know the other side. So I don't know what needs to be fixed unless I have something to compare it to. So I just wanted to put that out.
You remind me of what Mike Tyson said. Everybody got a plan till they get hit. That's the same thing. Everybody tough until somebody bigger and better come next to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody tough to another tough man come next to him. And that's the reality of it. And there's always somebody bigger and better. And you got to have a game plan for the bigger man if you're the smaller person. And that's the reality of it. If you are not prepared for anything, like I said earlier, you'll fall for everything. And that's what it is. Understanding your darkness will help you not fall for stuff because we're curious by nature. We go around ask questions all the time, and then you ask the wrong question, and in reality, that darkness is actually the same light that's in the back of your head saying, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't be going down that path you're doing right now. You think about what you're doing right now when you're actually thinking about something that you know you shouldn't be doing. That darkness actually turns into the light inside of you and says, "Hey, maybe right now you should be thinking about that action." I know a lot of people who don't want to get Ubers. I like to be a designated driver for other people. I've been a designated driver most of my life. I don't mind being a designated driver. So I know people don't like getting Ubers. People don't like calling me either, but they life over it. But guess what? It was their conscious decision that they made, but it was a voice in the back of their head that said, "Hey, I could have called somebody or I could have called a phone." Your choice. It's all about choices and decisions. Angel on the left, demon on the right. They still the same person. Ain't no demons outside. It's all one person. It's all you. And with that being said, we're gonna call it good night and we'll see y'all next month.